Hello, this is the 79th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2222, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. It almost starts to be tradition, but I think before we start with the actual topic of the show, we should speak about the newest PA glitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wait, that's the tradition? The PA glitch, I mean? Or just that we have some random thing?
I think glitches are tradition
sure.
in our age as well. But I mean, usually we have a content prepared to speak about, but then usually there is just something interesting to mention.
Sure. And
I think PA's personal assistants, we spoke about those in one of our very early episodes.
Yeah. And we've mentioned them occasionally. Mr. Dobalina is yours, for example, your personal assistant. Sure, and the latest fun thing, it's fun, kind of. Not fun. Anyway, the latest fun thing with personal assistants is that there was a glitch, best way of putting it, that reset any settings, any preferences that people had configured for their personal assistants. They all got reset to factory defaults.
Yeah.
And those factory defaults always involve you need to speak to your personal assistant, you need to listen to your personal assistant, and you cannot type or communicate in any other way with your PA other than through speaking and listening. And for some people that's fine because they never change the defaults. Great, they don't even notice. For me, that's a really different way for me to interact with my PA. I've always typed and read the text that it replies with. And this is something else. Yeah,
that also said that they couldn't have initiative, right? Not proactively approach you with things.
Exactly, not suggest things to me. And now I'm getting all the suggestions. Yeah. And I had it that it wasn't voice activated, of course. I pressed a button. So, and you have to, I don't even know. So I must have named my PA at some point, yeah? But I never called it by that name because I always literally pressed a button when I wanted to communicate, by typing or whatever. So anyway, the name I gave it now, because I had to give it a name, push button. Push button, because, I'm going to have to speak. I'm going to try and keep it as brief as possible. Try not to have, because it really wants to engage me in conversation.
Yeah, and it's because
it wants to learn about me.
And because it connects to you wherever you are from everything that's around you. You can go to the wall or whatever, and then it just jumps out of a speaker there and speaks to you. Well,
it doesn't even have the decency to just be in my head, that I can hear it. No, everyone else can also hear.
But it's because a lot of people had it switched off, so you hear it a lot more. If you go to the wall.
I was thinking I was one of the only ones, but it's so much more noticeable now. Quite a few other people had it off.
Yeah, because you notice now it's just louder when you're in a wall or in a hub or whatever. Yeah. It's just more.
Especially the suggestions, like the unprompted suggestions.
That's it.
Okay, you're used to hearing people having a conversation with their with their PA, but it's about something it's something intentional. And now you're walking around and you just keep hearing these. Oh, how about this? Oh, how about that? It's like people often shaking their heads. No, be quiet. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Don't forget your surgeries this afternoon or something like this. Yeah. I to be honest, I hadn't.
Your private surgeries you want no one else to know about.
Exactly. It's in my case, I had changed the factory settings a lot in the beginning, but then at one point I reset, or like at least changed it all back. Just name and history is all kept, but other than that, so I didn't really notice. I heard about it in the news, but I didn't notice. But for you, it's a big difference because you had everything turned on.
Yeah, exactly. I had all the things basically off, and when I needed to use it, would type effectively and read. I don't like this way. I hope it's fixed soon. I say that, to be fair, it's way better than I remember several decades ago when I first used it. There have been improvements. It understands me better when I speak to it.
Do you have the tendency to be rude because you're not used to getting all these suggestions?
I guess. Not rude like swearing, but rude in the sense of I just always tell it, be quiet.
Be quiet.
Go away. Like when it's something unprompted.
Do you get all the nutrient suggestions?
Yeah, everything. That's what I'm saying, all the defaults.
I don't hear them anymore. But for me, they worked because I did definitely change my...
Sure, I'm getting these suggestions because it thinks I need them. and yours, because you've followed this advice, you don't need it anymore.
In the beginning, I didn't. And I'm not sure if that I started because I thought they were great suggestions or because I wanted to have him stop telling me this stuff. Okay. Well, let's see.
I hope it doesn't get to that point where I basically have to do what it says just to shut it up.
Just to shut it up. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. A lot of people are talking about it right now because it affects a lot of people. Also on more minor levels, huh?
Yeah.
You want to introduce the topic?
This week's topic, I think, so identity trade.
Yeah.
That's what this week's topic is, or identity trades. We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
Recently.
We must have mentioned it. Yeah. Because Ulysses was considering it, right?
Correct, yeah. And we'll come back to that later, has actually made a decision on that too.
Yeah. But it's identity trades is basically where you buy and sell identities.
Yeah. Your own and or others.
Yeah. I think it's much debated. And should we be able to buy and sell identities? And you can end up with multiple identities as well. So another question.
Either intentionally or by accident.
Should you even have multiple identities? We had a whole convention about this several years ago, all the ethics counselors. And we spoke about it for, I don't know, over a weekend. But it's with a lot of these things.
A long weekend, like 3 day, 4 day?
4-day weekend, yeah. So it's with a lot of these things, you can look at it from all kinds of angles, but usually it's, the world basically making its own decision, and it's apparently fine, multiple identities.
Yeah.
But
I mean, for them to be traded, the identities need to agree to it, so at least that angle is fine.
Yeah.
It's not about accidental slavery or anything like that.
Yeah, and then having no identity is not allowed. So
that can happen. We should say how those things can happen. Yeah. So multiple identities can happen on purpose, or both in theory could happen on purpose, yeah. But usually it's by accident. The way you would end up with multiple is if, you're trading, so you're going to swap your current identity for a new one. You've arranged a buyer for your current one, and for whatever reason that falls through at the last moment. So you've already got your new one and you haven't got rid of your old one yet. Okay. And you've got two identities. And something similar with ending up with no identity is you've arranged a buyer for your current one. All good. You sell it. And then just at the last moment, you don't get the new one that you were expecting. That's how it can happen. Yeah.
But I think the identity swap, that's the standard thing. So usually when people are saying I'm considering an identity trade, they mean
it's one for one.
Exactly. I'm getting rid of the one I have now and I get a new one.
And depending on scheduling and finances, if you can afford it, it's nice to have a bit of overlap, a bit of handover between the two, but sometimes that's not possible. And that's where it can be that you end up with none. Yeah,
none or multiple. Yeah, this is the same thing. And it's basically you get them at online markets or at jumbo sales or something like that. Yeah. It's interesting because it's completely virtual, essentially, your identity. I mean, of course, affects your life, but you can get them at either online, but actually going to a place and selecting an identity is very common, apparently.
Yeah.
And did you ever go to an identity trade?
I mean, I've been to them. I've not traded my own identity before. Like I've looked into it is what I mean.
I feel it's because identities are very different. Identity trades, if you walk there, it's basically, it almost feel like a zoo that has every possible animal that you can imagine. Where the some areas of the trade are super loud, some are really quiet, and they actually have them categorized. You go to a jumbo sale, here are the more quiet identities, here are the loud identities.
Sure, when you want to be considerate of your neighbors, especially, you would choose a quieter one.
And you have specifically jumbo sales for celebrity identities. So you can go there. You have to pay entrance to even be able to allow it in there. And then you bring the right money, you can get a celebrity identity. They even auction them off.
And that's the thing, and that's the thing where it's more multiple intentionally. Like someone who wants a celebrity identity usually wants to keep their own one in the first place, that they can enjoy the whatever benefits they get from having that celebrity's identity as well.
I think if you're like a minor celebrity, you can basically swap in your own personality, so you get a pretty decent discount on the bigger celebrity.
Yeah.
But I think when we had a lot of, the whole world was having a lot of discussions, and it's being discussed again and again. And there are some regulations where, like you mentioned before, you can't have no identity.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to have at least one.
Yeah. Or at least not for a very long time.
Sure. Like I was saying, by mistake, maybe you end up that way. But it's your responsibility to arrange a new identity, and if you don't get one within a month, then you're given one, provided one.
Yeah, I think it's a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's basically the government agencies, they get in touch. So like the moment, I think it's within 24 hours, you get a notification saying, hey, you have no identity, countdown starting 30 days from now, you will get one.
Yeah, you see that countdown in your lens the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's annoying. It really
I mean, they try it on purpose. Yeah, it's meant to be annoying to get you to get one. That you don't keep putting it off.
I've never had it for this because I've never actually done an identity trade, but I've had it for a few other things. Where saying, this is important, or important as far as.
I mean, when you set them for yourself, that's a useful thing, of course, for some deadline or whatever that you want to keep. It's frustrating when it's something mandated that you have no control. Well, yeah, you have control over it in the sense of do the thing, but you can't dismiss it otherwise.
Yeah, exactly, and do the thing. It's basically like with my PA saying eat healthier. And at one point you just go eat healthier just to get rid of it.
Path of least resistance.
Exactly. But also in this case, in the case of identity trades in Germany, it's das Institut für Daten- und Identitätsschutz. And then, just having, because that name is printed below the countdown, that just blocks, I don't know, like 10% of my view. That's,
sure, just with the name of it.
As if the countdown wasn't enough already. But yeah, I'm wondering if some people feel like gambling, sell off their identity. You have a month of...
I see, and just see what's assigned to you.
Exactly, just like have your life being pressed a random button.
But, and I feel lucky button, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's it. But it's you don't know what you're going to get.
No.
And then...
and it tends to be, other identities that basically got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
So then they are often surprised.
It's like some backlog of identities that nobody wanted, and you'll get one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But I think you can only get one new identity a year.
Yep. The frequency with which you change it, exactly, is limited to one a year, because there were identity day traders.
Yeah. That
was a problem. Like trading them, not also day trader, and it almost sounds quaint, It was really millions of times per second. Day traders was early on, and then it kept getting faster and faster and faster, and that caused all kinds of problems.
Nanosecond traders.
Exactly.
But it's
so 1 year, one per year.
Yes, apparently there was a time where they were being super speculative about it, and then based on seasonality, some identities were more popular than others. So people were investing in multiple identities in, let's say, winter. They were investing in identities that were really popular in autumn. So, and when summer came, people started being interested in autumn identities, and they could sell them for more. But they put a stop to that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have to pay taxes for each trade. So
right, first there was taxes were introduced, but then the profits were so great that it was still worth doing. And then that's when it was limited to once per year.
I think when it started, there was no regulation for it, because I think it started with people selling off identities of deceased.
To step back up before that, it wasn't a thing where you sold them even. The point was just, your relative of yours is really old and just dies, and then you want to preserve them, you want to preserve their identity, and the way to do that was to, have it alongside your existing one.
Ah, that's how it started.
That's how it started, right? So it wasn't meant to be this trading thing. It wasn't meant to be anything financial.
That's true. And then basically, if you're Baron Francis the Third and your father Baron Francis the Second passes, you basically get his identity along with yours.
Yeah. So then he persists. Sure, and then shortly after that, people did want to be able to have that identity in a separate person rather than alongside an existing one, and that's where the trading and the selling came in.
But in the beginning, when there were no regulations, and then they basically said, this is completely illegal from now on, no longer.
Right, it was a very reactionary response.
Yeah. And then they talk, and then it started going underground, right? So.
Black market for it.
But then I like where they go like, okay, what's really the harm? What's really, like, is it just annoying or is it downright bad? And then they said, okay, under certain conditions you can change or even have multiple identities. So.
Yeah. Sure, there's I mean, at least by now, there are reasons people want multiple identities intentionally. Most basic one is, okay, they want to start working in a new career, a new job, and they can have an additional identity that's really specialized in their field.
And if you're applying for a job as a castle lord, is that a job?
The lord of a castle? I mean, it's a thing that people do. I don't know if it's a job, but let's say it is.
Let's say it's a job, and then you apply as, Dirk. Hey, I can be lord of the castle. And they go like, yeah, why would we hire you?
Right, what do you know about lording it over a castle?
Exactly. But then it's like, oh yeah, and then apply again as Baron Francis the Third, and they go like, oh, hey, that sounds like you could be perfect for a castle.
Some stuff.
Yeah. That's I think that's very it's basically occasion-based identity.
Yeah.
I think applying for a job is a really good one.
Well, we've mentioned before, people live much longer lives than they used to. It's not unusual to have many careers throughout your life, and this is a way to do that, basically.
And also, if you want to have 2 jobs, I don't know why, but let's say you want to have 2 jobs.
Really a go-getter.
Yeah. You can either say, I'm having both jobs under my own name, or you can also say, this is my identity for my other job. I'm a...
Partition things.
Exactly. I'm a conductor, or I am a...
Train conductor? You say orchestra conductor?
Yeah, orchestra conductor.
Yeah.
So what would be the identity of an orchestra conductor? Maybe you already have 2 other jobs. I don't know.
Sure.
But it's also, I think, in a lot of cases, with half of the sales that are happening are out of boredom. I want to buy new stuff.
At some point, you live long enough. You want to. I was saying it like for a job. It doesn't even have to be a job. Yeah, you just want different experiences.
Yeah, or like
your relatives are getting bored of you. They fancy a change.
It's their boredom causing you to change identity. Yeah, that's a good point. But it's also basically for some people, it's changing a set of clothes. It's a new year. Happy New Year. What's your identity this time? Or I'm done with my old sweater. I want to have a new sweater. I'm done with my old identity.
Sure.
This year I feel like being Baron Francis.
That's an angle of it. You trade identities. Okay, so that identity, for example, really liked Christmas jumpers. The kinds with woolen knitted ones. Yeah. And that identity is now in someone else. Okay, so now that person would like the woolen jumpers. So long as the people whose bodies have swapped are similar enough in size, can hand over the jumpers as well. But that's not required. That's like an extra bonus thing on top. The main thing is trading the identity.
I got Theo an identity once. I did actually go to a jumble sales. To a jumble sale. It was a joke, so not serious. So I didn't get. I thought it was just fun to give him identity, give him an identity, and so I didn't.
As a present.
Yeah, but more like not the identity itself, but more the thought. It's like, if you want, you can change. Here is one. He didn't take it, obviously.
Yeah.
But you can. You can actually buy identities for other people.
Right. Yeah. Not just for yourself.
But apparently, it's a thing with taxes.
Not sure how that works because usually taxes aren't tied to an identity; they're tied to your person.
Yeah, to your registration. Yeah. To be honest, I also don't know. Maybe because you pay taxes when you buy an identity.
Sure, on the trade itself.
But maybe it works like, like with taxes you get, if you're a family and you all file your taxes together, if you have multiple identities, maybe you get a discount because you have, I don't know. Actually.
This is where both you and I, because we haven't actually done this before, we do not have the first-hand experience.
True. We can do some really educated guesses. I mean, we do live in the 23rd century, so we should probably be able
with access to Alapedia.
Exactly, but guessing is more fun.
Definitely.
It's also, I guess, people live very long because they're very healthy, but you could say some people maybe have mental problems.
Sure,
being unstable.
Right, there's a lot of help. Cyborg chips help a lot.
Yeah.
And there's other types of help, but it's still optional. You can choose not to accept that help, not to follow the advice, and then.
Maybe I'm saying maybe that it's the advice. Like maybe the advice is.
Sure, that's the other way.
Like change identity.
Yeah.
And that's not something you can just program. You need to actually purchase an identity. But it could be if you have mental problems, which happens, maybe a change of identity is just what you need. Yeah. Could be. But I think that's for changing identity and multiple identities. What we mentioned before, it's like different identity for different job. But you can also have your work identity, your leisure identity, your family identity, your sports identity, your friends identity. It's like your friends know you as this and this person that likes that and that. Like you said before, somebody who likes knitting. You go home to your family, you're the person who likes cycling. I don't know. And
some of these things it's possible to do without actually trading or getting additional identities.
True.
It's more a step up, an upgrade, like where you are doing these things so much better because of the new identities.
And you also have it officially registered.
Yeah.
And also sometimes, like if you have an identity of a famous person, you also, get earnings.
Yeah. And the best thing to do, or I say the best thing, I think lookalikes do when they can. So they're a celebrity lookalike.
True.
And then they can actually have the identity of that celebrity. It really steps up their game. They get more bookings and stuff.
Yeah, wow, that's actually interesting. Like the celebrity comes to pass, and then a lookalike takes over the identity, so you even look like that. Haha. Well, I guess if you get a celebrity identity, that does make sense. I know I've heard of people getting identities for different parties.
What type of parties? Like political?
No, I mean like celebrations.
Fancy dress? Celebrations.
Let's say you have this super big party in October. Let's say the Oktoberfest.
Sure.
All your friends are coming over, everybody goes to the Oktoberfest. And then it's like, I should get an identity for the Oktoberfest. And you get one. A couple of weeks later, it's the Halloween party. And then it's the Christmas party, And then you feel like, I don't think my identity really works with this. So every year you get another identity for another type of party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go well with different outfits, different fashions.
Wow, you can even get outfits to go with your identity. You could even have your cyborg chip program you to look like somebody who fits to the identity features, that you have.
Not also your features, but more your body language, your expressions, like your resting whatever face.
But the thing is, if you have, because it started with more like celebrity identities, but now it's like open for everybody.
Yeah.
But you have people that bought a few celebrity identities because you also get, what's it called when you have the rights to a song and then somebody plays the song, you get some money.
You get royalties?
Royalties, that's it. But then the person who bought that additional identity also then comes to pass. So you have multiple identities available and you buy them or maybe you inherit them. And at one point you start to lose track of all the identities that you're supposed to have, Or see, because that's the thing, because you've never tried it.
No.
I've never tried it.
Sure.
And then
I know of it through Ulysses, but not firsthand.
No. And then it starts to get super complicated, because we're already getting...
I mean, definitely keeping track of it in your head isn't possible beyond a certain point. You use various tools, like one identity or
exactly.
things like that, where you can,
And also you wake up in the
track.
morning and you go like, okay, so who am I? It's Wednesday. Today I am.
Mm-hmm. And then then it's good to have one identity synchronizing with your lens, that you get a nice text reminder in your vision when you wake up.
The thing is, we've mentioned Ulysses a few times now.
No longer named Ulysses.
Exactly. We could have asked them, but they've actually swapped identity. So I
now a guy called Jean-Claude.
It's a guy called Jean-Claude, and I don't have their contact details anymore. I mean, I have Ulysses, but there's
but Jean-Claude doesn't answer.
And Ulysses swapped, but nobody actually bought.
Okay.
So it's. I mean, the identity still exists, but it's not tied to anybody
reachable.
yet.
Yeah.
And I don't have the contact details for Jean-Claude.
Right.
So I just know about him.
Sure, Jean-Claude in general.
Yeah. But did you hear anything about this Jean-Claude identity?
So a little bit, just that he's really into martial arts and has very nice sunglasses.
Is it an old identity or a new one?
Really old, yeah.
Okay.
Been around for a long time.
Some heritage identity.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, they were talking about it for a while.
Sure.
I didn't.
Makes sense based on what Ulysses was interested in. Makes sense they traded with Jean-Claude.
Yeah. But I'm sure we can figure out his new contact details. But I haven't yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Did we miss anything about identity trade?
Almost certainly, and that's why we will ask our listeners to ask us.
So how do they do that?
They will do that by writing to us at michaellasagna5@gmail.com and putting in the subject, the number 79, and then asking whatever questions they want in the body of that email.
Exactly. Okay.
And someone did that.
Oh.
Not the 79 part, but
did somebody send us a question?
someone else sent us a question.
Okay.
Manuel Advia asks, "Hey guys, what do you even do when you're not studying, working, or recording the podcast? A 3-day working week leaves a lot of free time. Adios from Spain."
Well, adios. I don't know. Do they say that in Spain?
I don't know. I don't know. But what do we do with all the free time? Yeah, right, because I'm on sabbatical even, but even a regular working stiff works just 3-day weeks.
I have some studying, so
Studying counts as work, yeah. Not paid, but yeah.
But you don't study 7 days, right?
Most definitely not. 3 days at the max.
Yeah.
So what do I do with all the free time? Well, so lately at least, I've been going to book clubs. So I've been reading the books, then going to the book clubs where I talk with other people about the books that we all read.
Cool. Is it in a bookstore or?
Usually in wine bars or pubs,
Okay.
restaurants.
Okay. Cool.
So we also drink and eat, but also talk about the
and then okay. Well, it makes total sense.
Makes sense, yeah. And sometimes other people have all read the book, and we really talk about the book. Other times, maybe the other people didn't. I've been finishing them all so far, but sometimes other people haven't actually finished the book, so we talk about the first half of the book.
And then they say no spoilers.
Sometimes, and then they say, "Tell me," and then then we get to me and the other people who've finished the book. We get to do like a nice summary as well.
Well, then you don't have to read the book because you've already discussed how it's going to end.
Yeah. And sure, and then drinking and eating and talking about other stuff too, of course.
Yeah, makes sense. And then are you jumping all over the world, or is it here in?
Yeah, all over.
Okay, cool.
We've mentioned before, that's the advantage of teleportation.
That's it.
Yeah, that's basically it for me. For
Okay.
yourself?
Well, last week I spent a lot of time in the verse. I even took 2 days off. So I had
Wait, off from work?
no. Yeah, I was saying 2 days off from work. So I basically worked 1 day last week.
Nice.
I spent 3 days straight in the verse.
How was that?
I mean, I even went to the CV center in the Scala Plaza. I mean, of course, I can log into it at home, but that's like for 1-2 hours, that's fine. But for longer, and also at home, I get distracted.
Sure.
In the CV center, it's just a lot longer.
Yeah, it's all about that.
Yeah, exactly. So that was fine. And it's a super modern CV center, so they are equipped. They have drinks and snacks and so on. So Yeah, so I did that a lot last week. So, I mean, a 3-day working week, sure. So you work 3 days, but...
I guess I should also say, some days I do nothing. Yeah. Meaning, I eat some food, tidy my house, but I don't do any like event or...
And also, what good is a weekend if you start doing stuff?
Exactly.
And why do you have the weekend?
Yeah.
Is the Zweefel season is on pause now, right?
It is, yeah, right. I'm not playing that at the moment. When that's in season, then I'm playing that.
I did do I did go pipe racing on Sunday, so that was fun. So sports, nature,
everything is decompressed, Manuel. You know, like you don't. At least I don't feel the need to hurry, to rush, to squeeze in as much stuff as possible in as little time as possible.
Exactly. When you're thirsty, you drink. When you're hungry, you eat. When you feel like going outside, you go outside.
Yeah.
If you like staying inside, laying in your hammock, you do just that.
Yeah.
Or, as I did, that wasn't last week, that was the week before, I didn't like the breeze. So I went to Zimbabwe and laid on a hammock there.
Makes sense.
Okay, so that's what we do, Manuel. We lay in our hammocks and we play sports.
Read books and drink drinks.
Exactly. Sounds like an awesome future, right?
I like it.
Yeah. Don't worry. 200 years, you can enjoy that. Or your descendants. Or maybe somebody with that
or your identity. Exactly. You can enjoy it. Just get your identity traded along a few times.
Exactly. Your identity will be thankful. Okay. I would say that's it for this week.
I reckon so too.
Then thanks everybody for listening and see you in 200 years. Bye-bye.